My parents always favored my sister. She was the golden child who could do no wrong, the one they praised, protected, and celebrated. I was the quiet one, the disappointment. They applauded her for marrying a corporate executive and looked at me with pity for marrying a farmer. And at her wedding, they made me sit outside on a plastic chair near the service entrance because an important guest was arriving. I sat there humiliated, holding back tears, unaware that everything I had been hiding for 3 years was about to come out. My name is Emily Watson, and this is the story of how I stopped letting them make me feel small. Growing up, I was constantly compared to my older sister, Victoria. She was everything my parents admired: a beauty pageant winner, sorority president, and marketing executive. I chose a different path. I studied agricultural science and sustainability, cared about food systems, land, and long-term impact. Every achievement I earned was minimized. "That's nice," they would say, "but Victoria just got promoted again." At family gatherings, her accomplishments filled the room while mine barely registered. At my college graduation, my parents arrived late and left early so they could attend one of Victoria's work events. The message was always clear. Victoria was the pride. I was the disappointment. 3 years ago, I met Daniel at an agricultural conference. He was presenting on sustainable farming practices. He was intelligent, thoughtful, and deeply grounded. There was no ego, no flash, just purpose. When he took me to his family farm, I saw how large and well-run it was. But Daniel lived simply. He never flaunted anything. He focused on the work. I fell in love with his values, not his title. When I brought him home to meet my family, it was a disaster. My mother scoffed. "A farmer? Emily, really?" My father asked if we would be living away from civilization. Victoria smiled and said, "Well, I suppose someone has to grow our food." They never asked who Daniel really was. They decided his worth based on a label. Victoria later got engaged to Derek, a corporate executive in agricultural processing. Expensive suits, flashy car, constant talk of bonuses and promotions. My parents adored him instantly. Finally, my mother said, "Someone with real prospects in this family." Daniel and I married quietly in a small ceremony. My parents attended and complained the entire time. Victoria's wedding, on the other hand, became a massive $150,000 production. 2 weeks before the wedding, the venue threatened to cancel. A $15,000 payment was missing. Then, an anonymous donation appeared, and the wedding was saved. No one knew it was me. Despite everything, I wanted my sister to have her day. On the wedding day, Daniel and I arrived dressed nicely, but modestly. Victoria pulled me aside and said there was a seating issue because a VIP guest was coming. She directed us outside, 2 plastic chairs near the service entrance. I sat there trying not to cry. Derek came out, looked at me, and sneered. He said, "I didn't fit the aesthetic." He called me dirt. Victoria followed and accused me of making a scene. Then she poured red wine down my dress. My parents saw everything and walked away. That was when someone called out, "Mr. Watson." The venue manager rushed over, apologizing. If he had known this was Daniel's family event, special accommodations would have been prepared. Derek froze. "Watson? As in Watson Agricultural Holdings?" Daniel nodded calmly. "Yes." Silence followed. Derek realized Daniel owned the company that owned his company. The man he had just humiliated was his boss's boss. Daniel didn't raise his voice. "I'm a farmer," he said. I also own 12,000 acres across 3 states. Derek's promotion vanished in that moment. His job was suddenly under review. The venue manager added another detail. Daniel owned the venue and 16 others. Victoria stared at me in disbelief and asked if I knew. I stood up, wine-stained dress and all, and said quietly, "You never asked. You just assumed." The final payment for the wedding was still unpaid. Everyone turned to me. Victoria said I could cover it. My mother begged. Family helps family. I answered calmly. Family doesn't make their daughters sit outside on the floor. I refused. Daniel terminated Derek's employment, not out of revenge, but out of principle. We don't employ people who treat others like dirt. The reception was cancelled. Guests left filming. The perfect wedding collapsed in real time. The next day, my phone exploded with calls, texts, guilt, and blame. Then the truth surfaced. Derek was officially fired for expense fraud. He was deep in debt. The engagement ended. Victoria said she couldn't marry someone with nothing. My accomplishments became public. So did Daniel's. The same people who once pitied me now wanted connections. I declined. 6 months later, I gave a keynote speech on sustainability. Afterward, a young woman approached me in tears and asked how I survived without my family's approval. I told her the truth. You don't need permission to succeed. Build a life so full that their opinions become background noise. Never shrink yourself to fit spaces that were never meant to hold you. My mother later emailed, saying she was proud and asking to start over. I read it and deleted it. Some distances are exactly the right size, and I have never been happier. If you've ever been made to feel small by the people who should have protected you, remember this: your worth is not determined by who recognizes it. Build your own life, find your own people, and live so well that their judgment fades into silence.